Yo, so we're back. Our boy from London town, Billy Body with the hot news. What you got?
Yeah, there's not a load this week, to be honest with you, as we head towards Money in the Bank. I mean, sometimes, as I said, I always say this. Sometimes you get news by other people putting out news which is not correct, and then you just end up correcting it. Like there's been a bit of that about this week where there's still talk about Sasha Banks, and they're saying she was like long released weeks ago, which is not what I've heard at all. I still think that at the moment they're still negotiating things. That World of Wrestling story's out as well.
What was the World of Wrestling story?
Well, my story where I turned around and said,
okay. So here's the thing. Did you see that tweet that Raj put up? Raj Geary. Go look at that, Joe. Find the tweet from Raj Geary.
The situation as of like when we were talking about it is that she wasn't released. So whether she is now is a different thing. But at the time,
the name is sorry, Billy. The name is Erica Schreiber, VP of Business and Legal for Talent Relations, is who Raj Geary said released her. Yeah.
Okay, but how can that be with the WWE have still got her on their website and everything, and every single release is publicly done? Like she's still on .com. Why this release is being why is this person being left up and still being left on the website?
You tell me. What's your theory?
I don't have a theory. I have what I've been told, which is that she wants to leave. The suspensions are up for the reasons that I said, because WWE are not able to hand down 3-4 month suspensions because the human resources don't allow it.
Right.
The rule is basically that you either let them go or you
right. If you're not paying them, you can't. You can't keep somebody under terms of contract and not pay them and not give them work.
Yeah,
like that's common sense.
But I think they knew the sooner that they told Sasha she wasn't released, the sooner they didn't have to pay her. Because here's the loophole with Sasha Banks: if you know she's not coming back to work, right, because of the way she is, you may as well end her suspension sooner. Because as soon as somebody says that they're not coming back to work whilst they're unsuspended, you don't have to pay them anymore. You can suspend someone from a certain period without pay anyway. And then you can turn around and say, oh, now you can come back to work. And if they don't, and that's on them, you don't pay them because they're in breach of contract.
Right.
So that can't go on forever. For WWE, Sasha Banks to them is just a prisoner who they don't have to pay and is still under contract and still can't do anything else. So I don't see the benefit of WWE to release her because they're not paying her because she's refusing to come into work. They don't have to pay the downside guarantee. And she can't go and work under AEW or anything else because she's under a WWE contract. So, as I said, this for a long time has been at the phase where, and when people turn around and go, her legal team and her lawyers and all of this stuff, I think this is such a ridiculous thing. What do you think Sasha Banks is? They talk about her like she's Floyd Mayweather Jr., right?
Right.
This is Sasha Banks. This is a woman who's on $1 million salary. That may sound like a lot of money to guys listening to this podcast or this video or whatever. It's not. Wrestlers strive to get that seven-figure income, but that's high. That's good money for wrestlers. Okay, it's not good money for. It's not good money when you think about the fact that Disco. What was your average spending? Working 200 dates. I know you didn't do 200 dates a year in WCW because of how.
Well, we did at some point. Yeah, we were definitely doing 200 dates.
Well, let's say you did 200 dates. What would you spend?
Oh, I'd spend a lot. We'd be out to eat, clubs, and tipping. To tips. It was ridiculous how much I tipped back then. You spend a good chunk of your, few $100s a day.
So let's say you earned $750K a year, right? How much did you get home at the end of the year?
Well, my biggest was $350. We paid like 40% taxes on that.
Right.
Or $325 was my $300 was my biggest full year, and I paid like 40% taxes on that.
Okay.
So but then I said, we spent a lot on the road, too.
Yeah.
It was, so.
I'll tell you what, you would have spent about.
Right. Yeah. Man, like I said, it's good money. But it's not like, when you're on the road all the time, it's not, you're not being super frugal when you're traveling the world.
No.
Right. So you're right. So it's like you're spending a good chunk of change.
And that's the thing. People hear this $1 million number and whatever.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, it's good money. Like, I'm sure she can have a solicitor and she has an agent, and that's what's going on. But when people turn around and say, people put out stories like Sasha a few weeks ago, Sasha's team are ironing out this deal. A solicitor is £250 an hour here in England, right? They even charge you. They even charge you when you take when you
£250 an hour.
A solicitor, a lawyer.
Okay.
They'll even and that's even when they have to call you to ask you a question to clarify something, right? They bill you for a 10-minute phone call, which is £25. Okay, like for a phone call. So all of this stuff goes on a bill. When people turn around and say she has a team of attorneys, you're telling me that Sasha Banks, who earns $1 million a year, of which $400,000 of that is taxed, and leaving her with $600,000, and she probably spends $100,000 on the road. So she makes $500,000 per year, is spending, 50-60 grand on a legal team to get out of the WWE. It's just not happening at all.
I don't know. Though I don't know. I have no idea how. Maybe her lawyer's a mark. And is maybe like doing a chance, like how workers are. They're like trying to get cheap deals and stuff, and all that. I don't know. Like, but I'm just saying, it's like if she's still on the website.
Yeah, she's on the website. Listen, she doesn't have a team of solicitors. She probably doesn't even have a regular.
I'm going to pull up the website right now. Let me see this.
She probably doesn't even have a regular attorney. She probably found an attorney when it was appropriate to, most normal people do.
Sasha Banks, she's still on the site. It's her bio. This is what it says about here. Some people are born bosses. Others have bossness thrust upon them. Sasha Banks is the former. An independent wrestler out of Boston, Banks worked her way through various promotions before finally getting a foot in the door in WWE NXT. Eventually, the quiet but talented young woman found her voice, and the boss was born. Since then, Banks hasn't looked back for a second, though she turned plenty of heads throughout her standing rise to dominance as one of Full Sail's 4 horsewomen. The trailblazing continued past NXT when Banks helped usher in a new era of competition on the Raw roster during the Women's Revolution. Since then, the ultra-confident Banks has made history at every turn, competed in the first ever Women's WWE Iron Man, Hell in a Cell, Royal Rumble, and Elimination Chamber matches, all while capturing multiple Raw Women's titles and teamed with Bayley to become the first WWE Tag Team Champion. And it's got a bunch of links to her here and pictures and stuff and everything and all that. So yeah, she's it's weird. Why would you didn't Tony Khan take MJF off his whatchamacallit?
Yeah. Exactly.
So,
but that's been made to try and look real on purpose.
Right.
It's weird because WWE have that real storyline here that they could do. Like that. I mean, if WWE found a way to bring her back, I think that at this point if you trusted her enough to not do this again, you could really run a big story out of it, which I think would appease all parties, because Sasha Banks is obviously, her issue is her usage, and she feels like she's more than she is. And WWE's issue is the fact that Sasha Banks is unreliable. So perhaps you could solve a lot of problems.
I'm going to make a point here. Maybe they're letting her negotiate with Tony Khan, and Vince is basically they made an agreement that basically, hey, come back to me. Well, what are they offering you? And maybe Vince is going to say, okay, go ahead and take it, or he's going to say, okay, well, this is what I'm going to offer you. That's a possibility. Is that a possibility? Vince seems like in this negotiation process that he's the guy that holds all the cards now. Like he's got that control again ever since he brought Cody back. You know what I'm saying? Like maybe he's the one, because he released a bunch of their guys, people that you wouldn't even think wow, like Bray Wyatt got released and he's like at the top of their merch sales and stuff. It's like he took Braun Strowman. Bro, Tony Khan didn't even sign Braun Strowman. I'm just wondering if Vince thinks okay, all right, let me see if I release one of my top girls, if she's even out of their price range now, because they signed so many people,
Was Braun Strowman one of the guys that the indie wrestling community was asking him to sign them?
No, but of course not. But they should have signed him.
Yeah, he doesn't listen to me and you, does he?
No,
right?
No, not at all. So it's weird. Right. They just sign all the good workers in quotation marks, because they want to have good matches and stuff like Claudio is like the perfect guy.
Where I asked, they sign all the good workers, but do you think Kenny Omega's a better worker than Brock Lesnar?
No, first of all, I think that whatever the standards that the people have for work these days, I'm not listening to the dirt sheet guys and the marks for trying to tell me who's I know who the good workers are. because I train people to work. So it's like, I don't need I'm not going to have them tell me like the guys that are smacking their thighs 15 times a match and everything are good workers. It's like you're just not going to do that. I'm going to tell the guys that are good workers because I went and did focus groups. Like they sent me sometimes to go do we would do focus groups. Find me another professional wrestler that sat in on a focus group. I know guys in marketing have done it, and guys in booking have done everything, but no, nobody that was in the business went in these focus groups. And the most fascinating thing that I heard in these focus groups was when they asked, okay, hey, do you like this? You like this? You like this? Do you like the cruiserweights? And there's a group of 12 wrestling fans aged 18 to 50, 55 or whatever it was, and they watched the shows and stuff. Everything. None of them liked the cruiserweights. I was like, really? I was kind of like, wow. It's like, yeah, they go, but who do you like? They like Goldberg. You know why they like Goldberg? They go, man, I just don't know. Like he just makes it just looks like it's real when he does it. So the guys that are the best workers are the guys that in the fans' minds make it look the most realistic. And that's what work is. Making it look as realistic as possible without without really hitting the guy or hurting the guy, just make it look as realistic as possible. But wrestling got on the indies and we elevated indie level work, and now it's like, okay, whoever has the most moves or cool moves, those are good workers. And that's the tone these days. And people your average wrestling fan is just looking at these matches and just want it to look they want to watch wrestling and they want to suspend their disbelief. When you suspend your disbelief, that requires you accepting, okay, this is realistic as possible. And it looks realistic as possible. So, and the farther away it gets from looking as realistic as possible, the more fans that are just not going to engage in it except your hardcores, which is what has happened in professional wrestling. Is these guys do not hold the principles of trying to make your match look as realistic as possible. They try to do as many cool moves as they can because that's what Meltzer rates high. Like these kids, it's unbelievable. The wrestlers today wrestle for the stars that Meltzer gives them. And it's like, what are you guys doing? You had more fans if you would wrestle more realistically, learn how to look like you could fight and throw punches and stuff and everything, than the way you're doing it now. And it's like, I'll argue that all day. I'll tell people that because I have all the evidence because the numbers are not the numbers are underwhelming ratings wise. Mm-hmm. My explanation is far more plausible than anybody else. Because you can say I don't say the wrestling's not the work is not that good. And they'll say, well, you can talk about the rating. Okay, well then the booking's not that good. Oh, okay, what are you talking about? The Tony Khan's the Booker of the Year. Okay, then which one is it? Is that because your numbers are not, you're not drawing, you're not expanding, you're not growing and stuff. So what is it, the booking or the wrestling? And you're now telling me it's neither. Then what is it? It's like, well, so what is it? What is your reason? Like if I ask you, why are numbers in wrestling underwhelming? Is it booking or is it the work? What would your answer be?
I don't think either is up to par,
right?
Yeah, but
and why is the booking not up to par?
The booking is worse than the work. I think the work is relatively solid in the WWE. I think they obviously
the WWE work is more what's the word I want to use? More professional because there's more adherence to logic. They don't go out, they don't get crazy in the matches with these stupid, ridiculous spots where they're ducking under and twisting guys and stuff. They just don't do that. And they don't do the 15 false finishes. They just do, they have a sensible, basic match because they don't want guys doing that gets hurt, that they'll get hurt. That's one of the main reasons, a lot of the work in WWE, they go, oh, we're getting neutered in WWE. Yeah, you're getting neutered because they don't want you getting hurt because they're paying you a lot of money to be on TV. So they're toning down the things that hurt wrestlers and telling you not to do them. In AEW, it's just like, forget it. They just did. Everybody's like, it's Wild West out there. They just do whatever they want in the matches. There's no controls or don't do this or don't do that. There was I was watching the just show last night, and the first match, Cash Wheeler was doing the spot to the Gun Club kid, and then he was doing the Suplex City. He gave him 7 German suplexes in a row. Then they go to the main event, and there's another guy in the match doing the exact same spot. And then I'm like, bro, something done. Aren't you guys like coordinating? Like, I'm not going to do the exact same spot you're doing in a later. And it's like they do that all the time. There's just no like controls over keeping the show very sensible and keeping it logical. They just like, it's just everybody go out there and do whatever you want. And the WWE is not like that. It's a more structured, structured show, structured work where the guys are like, they're hitting this, they're hitting their points right now where it's like the booking is being delivered by the talent pretty well. You may not like the booking is, but the talent is invested in delivering what they're given and making it look like we're not scripting, we're not reading off of we're taking what they're giving us and making it work. And it's like that's what that's the difference between the two shows.
There's bigger differences than that, but yeah, I mean,
that's the thing. When I look at these shows, that's what I see. I see like a very loose structure in storytelling on AEW. I see a very rigid structure in WWE where like the show opens and they're giving you a 3-minute package so you know exactly what's going on. Like story, like they've told you 5 weeks of the story. They put it in a package, everything has happened, and then they go in and the wrestler comes out for a promo. You know exactly what's going on storyline-wise, right? In AEW, they don't even do that. Like it was funny, like last week's show. It was hysterical because they came out with like Jericho comes out for his match with Gets the Kid with the haircut, and it's like they're having a hair versus hair match. And if you missed last week, you're going like, why in the world are they having a hair versus hair match? They didn't even have a package for it.
Well, they didn't even have a package for these Japanese wrestlers. Like
exactly. It's like because the thing is that's part of storytelling is letting people know what's going on. It's like I'm telling you a story. It's like bro, if I hand you a book and it's like we're reading like okay, class has started, and unfortunately, you're missing the first 2 weeks because you've been sick, right? So now we're on chapter 4, okay, and it's like we're telling you, okay, pick up, we're on chapter 4, and it's like somebody saying, well, somebody needs to take Billy aside and fill him in on chapters 1 through 3 first. It's like, no, don't worry about it. Just pick up right here, chapter 4. It's like, and you're going like, okay, well, what's going on here? That's the way they do it. WWE, if you miss a couple weeks, it's like, okay, well, I can re-engage back in the product because they're going to show me these packages and tell me the storylines and keep me up to date. That's a glaring difference between the two shows. And I don't know, and it's funny too because like the funniest thing is you look at Dave and Alvarez. I listen to some of the reviews, and Alvarez will go like, oh, and then WWE, and then they have another package, and it's like, oh, the show is like all package. I'm like, yeah, Brian, they're trying to explain to fans that haven't watched to keep them interested in the storylines so they don't turn the channel because they don't know what the is going on. And it's like that's the distache from people that have like been in the business and done this and done storytelling and done to the marks that just want to get to the matches so they can rate them and to talk about how great the work is. And then that's that honestly, I tell you, like I've been saying all along, the dirt sheets, okay, and their narratives and the fans and like these Mark podcaster guys, like they're drawing these fans that we talked about a few weeks ago that are kind of like infesting the rest of the other fans to not care about the storylines and all you care about is the matches. And it's like, okay, well, where are the fans going? It's like they're literally working against growing the business and don't even realize it because they think that they're like they're right all the time. So